And we're off with another review of the offer cars in this week's GTA Online weekly update, and we are starting with the Progen Itali GTB, which is, surprisingly, another car that I don't like. How can I possibly not like this? It's based on the McLaren 570S, which is a really good looking car in real life, and the way they've built it in the game is really good looking too, so why would I not like that? Is it to do with the drive? Well, not really, because even though it's a little bit loose at the back, it's a really nice, fun car to drive. It's a supercar, but it's not ridiculously wide like a lot of the other supercars, so you can actually have a lot of fun with it through traffic without hitting every other car on the road. So none of this explains why I don't like it. Maybe it's the speed. Well, it's not that either, because I took this standard version, the standard white one. I always order them in white so I can see what they look like while I'm choosing the upgrades. This standard version on a lap of the map did a time of 9:07, which for a car with no upgrades whatsoever is an absolutely fantastic time. So it's not the drive, it's not the looks, and not the speed. So why do I dislike this thing so much? Well, it might sound irrational, but I know this view is shared by lots of other gamers. It's this dude. It's him. Well, I mean, it's not him, and it's not his music. I'm old enough to have bought his music when it was all released first time round. So it's not him. It's what he subjected us to with the contract and this car. So for those of you that are not familiar, the contract is something that comes with the agency, and it's where you have to kill a rather shocking amount of people just to recover a lost phone, which let's just ignore that. I'm sure it seemed perfectly reasonable at the time. And in general, the contract is a really good, really fun bit of gameplay. You start out with 2 setup missions, which you only have to do the first time you do the heist. Then after that you have 3 data leaks to do. Each of the 3 data leaks has 3 missions, so by the time you're done, you've done 11 missions. So at that point you're probably thinking, that's about right actually. I've earned my million, because it's a well-paying contract. It pays £1 million it pays $1 million on normal, but then 2 million when it's on offer, so it's a really, really good way of earning money. So after your 11 missions, you're probably thinking, yep, I'm about done, I'm quite happy with that. But no, you're not done, because even though you've already done 11 missions, you still need to do a finale. So you fire up the finale, you head over to the record studio, you kill everyone outside, and then you kill everyone inside, which by the way is much easier with a thermal helmet. And then you think, oh, thank God for that, I must be done. But no, you're not done, because you have to then endure the longest unskippable cutscene in gaming history. And by unskippable, I mean every time you do the heist, it's unskippable. The first time I did this heist, I thought this cutscene was kind of cool, but I've got to admit, when it's the 10th time you've done it on an offer week, it is significantly less cool. So, I'll do what all of you have always wanted to do to this cutscene. Beautiful. So then, you're thinking, I've done the finale, that must be it, give me my $1 million. But no, you have to do another finale, because why have one finale when you can have 2? So you head over to the rail yard, you have a bit of a shootout there, and at this point you're probably thinking, that must be it, I must be done, it must be time to collect my $1 million. But no, you're not done, because you then have to head into the warehouse and clear everyone out in there. So then finally you think, I must be done, this really, really must be it, where's my $1 million? and then you are thrown into another quite lengthy, unskippable cutscene, at which point you are quite rightly thinking,
when will this be over for me?
So the cutscene plays out, and then you are presented at this point of utter desperation. You are presented with this car, and having done all of that,
can you give me a ride home?
You've now got to drive him home. Well, I say home, you've got to drive him to the golf course, because for some reason, even though the last mission was at the airport where you land aircraft, he decided to land his aircraft at the golf club, not at the airport. So then you have to drive him home in this, and that's why I hate it, because this is the culmination of a mission that has been dragged out for 20 minutes longer than it really needed to be. And for that reason, and that reason alone, I never bought it, which is a little bit stupid and a little bit childish of me, because I've got to admit, this car's really good, and it pains me to say it. One of the reasons it's so good is this is one of the few supercars that you can actually wheel into Benny's and apply some Benny's upgrades to. Now, all the normal stuff is there, the wide body stuff, all the extra options for the interior, some really cool stuff you can do with the dash. You can make this thing look really nice, and it already looks nice to begin with. However, the one thing that this gives you, which is unique, well, say unique, which is very rare amongst the supercars, is it means you can get some Benny's wheels on this thing. And I'm not talking about white walls and spokes, no, that's not me. There are some really, really nice high-end designs in the Benny's wheels, and there are so few cars you can put them on. So obviously I've gone straight down for that, and I think this thing looks fabulous, especially in this kind of turquoise green. That's not the colour I was going to do this. When I bought this, I planned on doing it a yellow, but while I was looking for pictures for earlier in the video, I saw this one, and my first and only thought was,
Oh, it's got hot.
so turquoise it is. So we're quite a way into the video, and I haven't really talked about the car much. It's quick, it handles well, a little bit loose at the back, but this is a fabulous bit of kit. It's quite expensive by the time you're done, so it does kind of justify its price tag with the speed, I think, because the size of it makes it so much more usable and so much more fun. I think you can make this thing look cool. I think it's great to drive. It's really quick. You can see I've got the top speed timer running in the corner, so you can see what sort of top speed this thing does. And as we come round here, what are final thoughts and review? Well, it is quite expensive. It's on offer this week, so the car itself is about 800 grand, but then you're going to have to put quite a lot more into it to get your Benny's upgrade, and a lot of the Benny's upgrades are actually quite expensive themselves. So even with it being on offer, you're going to be a good 2 million into this, I would say, by the time you've got it looking something like. So how does it compare to the other £2 million supercars? £2 million? Why do I keep saying pound? $2 million. How does it compare to the other $2 million supercars? I think really well. Some of them are a little bit quicker, but this has a uniqueness. It's small, and it's based on a McLaren, and McLarens are inherently cool. Everything about McLarens is cool. They're one of the few supercars out there that I think is still pure in one particular sort of direction. So you've got McLaren, which is all about perfection and engineering excellence. You've got Pagani, which is all about opulence and style and power, and then you've got Koenigsegg, which is just about how bloody fast can we make this thing go. Those supercars are so much better in my view than things like Bugattis, which is basically just a marketing exercise for Volkswagen. But anyway, that's another rant over. I've done quite a few rants in this video. You can tell it's been a long week. Do I think you should buy this? I think it's absolutely worth it. I think if you've got a couple of million spare and you want a cool car that's a bit different to everything else that you've got, and you want to get some Benny's wheels on a supercar without glitching them on, as long as you don't put white walls on, because I can't possibly condone putting white walls on anything other than a 50s car. So as long as you don't do that, I promise you won't. Do you promise? Okay, I'll take your word for it. As long as you don't do that, I think this is probably something you could look at picking up. It is expensive, so only do it if you've got the money spare. But yeah, it's a decent buy, looks good, drives well. And here's the time for the upgraded version, which was an 8:33. So it's nearly 40 seconds faster, and I'll be honest, the lap on the upgraded version wasn't quite as clean as the other, so there's at least another 10 seconds in there. So it's a solid lap time with a really good car. I think this is one you should probably pick up this week. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. Here's where it sits on the lap board. And I hope you found that useful. And I'll see you in the next one.